Welcome back. I would like to discuss about classification of state space representations. So far in the previous video, we covered basically so-called linear time invariant system. What I mean by that is that if you have a system, right, if you have an equations of motion of some dynamics, and if you put it into the state space form and you obtain a constant A matrix, constant B matrix, as well as constant C and D matrices, then you are looking at linear and time invariant system. As I just mentioned in this previous video, basically we have looked into this class of systems, right? That video has 3 examples at the end, all result in this form with or without this du term. Now, I would like to mention that, of course, right, your system state, your system output and control input will depend on time. You inject some control input as a function of time to your system, and as a result, your state and your output will be time varying. So it is very important to emphasize that the system is called linear time invariant only when its matrices that multiplies x's or u's are time invariant. In that video, I am not going to do examples for linear time invariant system. Just watch this previous video. You are going to see 3 examples. Now, if one or more parameters or these matrices depends on time, that's why I have a statement or, maybe and, or. If A, B, C, and D depends on time, then we say this system with these time varying matrices is still linear but time varying system. Right, so I first would like to give a high level of general state classification for state space representations, then I will dive into detail as I do. Now, if the equations of motion that you start with are basically nonlinear, and if this is not possible to put this system into this form, then you need to deal with these functions. Again, immediately in this video I will do examples. Then you are looking at nonlinear time invariant systems. Now, if this function also depends on time, or that output function here depends on time, like I showed in here, then we call this a nonlinear time varying system. All right, so these are the basically, if we have a dynamical system, you can very generally classify them as linear or nonlinear, time invariant or time varying system. All right, let's dive into some examples. Let's say we are looking at this cart. We are measuring its position. We can apply a control force, but let's say the mass is time varying. Of course, this is a very simplistic example, but when you fly a passenger airplane, right, the fuel, which is a critical part of the mass, actually decreases as you fly. So actually your mass changes with respect to time. I am not going to do a very general aircraft example that involves a lot of complexity. So let's focus on this cart that we have this simple mass that varies with respect to time. There is no friction on the road, so we apply Newton's second law. Now, Newton's second law, most of the time we know it as m acceleration equals to the applied forces. Actually, this is true. This ma equals to apply of forces is true if the mass is time invariant. It doesn't depend on time or constant mass. The actual general Newton's second law is time rate of change of the momentum, in this case mass multiplied by the velocity or p dot, is the sum of the applied forces. In this case, we only have applied force, which is the control, since we don't have road friction. So the momentum, in this case, m multiplied by p, they both depends on time. So if I take the time derivative, right, first you basically, let's differentiate m. I drop t dependence. So m dot multiplied by p dot plus m multiplied by p dot dot. So this is the general Newton's second law. We are trying to model this system. So equals to the applied forces. So let me do some rearrangement. M p dot dot equals to this equation. Now I would like to do a state space representation of this equations of motion or dynamics of the system. I am denoting x1 as the position of this card, x2 as the velocity of this card. So x1 dot equals to p dot, which is x2, right? We call p dot to be x2, and x2 dot equals to p dot dot. Now p dot dot, we can obtain p dot dot by this equation simply by take this, divide everything by m, which gives us this nice form. But p dot was x2, so I am writing everything like x2. Now if we represent this in the state space form, we are looking at x1 dot equals to x2, which is here, and x2 dot equals to minus m dot over m here, plus 1 over m u. So for basically well-posedness of the problem, I'm assuming mass cannot be zero, otherwise what we are doing doesn't make sense. So there is some time variation in mass, but it changes in time. I forgot to mention, in addition to the general passenger airplane, right? Let's say you have a multi-rotor system like quadcopter, it delivers a product, right? Then its mass changes, or once it picks up a new basically delivery, then its mass also changes. So you can also think this as a system that the mass changes with respect to time. So it's a time varying system. Anyway, so basically in this case, we have A and B depends on time, this time rate of change and time variation of this mass. C matrix doesn't change with respect to time, so it is just, we just measure the position of the card. So this is the state space representation of this system, and in this case we are looking at linear time varying system, because at least, you know, one of these matrices, in this case two of these matrices, depending on time. So rule of thumb theoretically is that even if one entry of these matrices depend on time, then we call it linear time varying system, right? This system has bunch of entries, like C matrix has 2 entries, A matrix has 3, 4, and here, if you look at here, this is constant, 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 and these are constant. Only 2 of these entries depend on time. That's sufficient to call this system as the linear time varying system. All right, so let's move on to the unicycle car. Basically, this is a non-holonomic system. Think about your car. Of course, it has 4 wheels. In this case, I have 2 wheels. You cannot easily go to, right? You cannot drive your system easily to this direction. For example, think about parallel parking. You need to do some zigzag type of behavior in order to do parallel park. But so you need to change this angle for parallel parking. So you have a basically dynamical constraint, so-called non-holonomic system. If you want me to do a video about non-holonomic systems, let me know. So in this case, basically the motion around x1 is basically the control velocity that you apply. There are 2 controls, one of the velocity, other one is to rotate. Think this U2 as your wheel, right? When you steer the vehicle left or right, you basically change the orientation of the car, and if you hit gas, you speed up, or if you hit brake, you slow down. So speeding up with gas or slowing down changes your U1, and steering your wheel changes your U2. So this is similar to the car, but two wheels. This is a unicycle car. It is a nonlinear system with 2 control inputs actually. Anyway, so basically the motion toward x1 can be modeled as the velocity that you apply to the cart multiplied by cosine of x, this angle. Likewise, motion toward x2 is the same velocity multiplied by sine of x3. You can easily derive this and by steering your car you can basically change this angle. In this case, you are looking at a really nonlinear system, so you have basically this dynamics. There is no way that you write this system into this form, right? It is you cannot separate x from u in such a way that we do it in here. So we just have a function, some nonlinear function having cosine and sine terms, so you basically have f of x and u, and in control design you just need to deal with this. And I dealt with such systems, such non-holonomic systems, and the main technique that we apply is feedback linearization. And if you want me to talk about feedback linearization for non-holonomic systems or in general, let me know. It is a very important concept. Actually, if you want to control nonlinear systems, there are two main approaches. One of them is called gain scheduled control, which I already have a video on this playlist, advanced control. And the other one is feedback linearization. I don't have a video yet on feedback linearization. So you can watch the gain scheduled control, and if you want me to post about feedback linearization, let me know. In this case, let's say you measure all, you have basically, you can measure x1 and x2 and x3. In this case, your output is looking like a CX type of a structure. In other words, you can still write this portion linearly. But since your system, again, it doesn't matter if you write a portion of the system linearly. Even if when you have these nonlinear forms, you call the entire system as the basically nonlinear, in this case time invariant system, since there is no time variation. But let's say you have another parameter for some reason here, plus I don't know, mu of t, some parameter, some depends on time, then basically you can call it nonlinear time varying system. In this case, it is not. We don't have such a term based on the physics of this system, so it is nonlinear time invariant system. And if you wish, if you don't want to write it linearly like c multiplied by x, here the entire structure here you can represent as gxu, and of course this is a general functional representation. We don't have a u here, so you can call it g of x, or simply you can write it c multiplied by x, and here is your x. All right, so look at the pendulum as our final example, right? Basically you measure this angle and you apply this control torque. When you have unity mass, inertia, everything, unity length of this pendulum, you are looking at x1 that equals to x2, x2 that equals to minus sine x1 plus u type of a structure. Because of this term, it is a nonlinear system. So basically, you can write the dynamics in a couple of forms. And the one form is, if you like, you can write it like this nonlinear part, plus you can write, so this part is basically nonlinear. It is like, let me call it f bar of x, and bu, how states depend on control u is linear, but because of this the actual system is nonlinear. And let's say you only measure x1, then your output equation looking like 1 0 multiplied by x. So this is linear looking, this is linear looking, but at the end of the day you have a nonlinearity. You cannot write the system x purely like ax plus bu cx type of a form, because you cannot write it like ax. Because of sign, you cannot separate x and the A matrix. Then this system also linear time invariant system. If you want to represent in the more general form, you can basically combine everything into one. Represent is like fxu, in this case basically x2 minus sine x1 plus u. Basically I just took this and included here into fxu form. And if you want to, if you multiply this product, you can represent this as x1 becomes your gxu. Anyhow, so basically I showed you 4 common classifications of state space form. I hope this video is helpful, and let me know what should I cover next. Take care.